Hello, everyone. So, I can't believe I'm making this video because I've been wanting to do this for like a while now, like a few years. I'm so excited because um not only am I starting this channel and this is my first video, but it's the very first video of my little series I'm gonna have on here called The Rat Files, and it's where I talk it's like a podcast where I talk about anything and everything true crime, um, while I train my horses on Star Stable, and you can train with me, just listen along, whatever, but I'm very excited to start it. Um, because I think true crime is pretty interesting. Obviously, it's devastating, but there are always things to learn from it. And I love sharing what I'm interested in with other people. All right, so I'm training my horse Cinderheart today. I got her to like level 9, I think, or 10, I don't know. Um, but I still need a nickname for her because she doesn't have a nickname yet, and she deserves a nickname because she's amazing. Um, I've been really into like neutral colored brownish outfits in Star Stable. I don't know. Leave a comment and tell me what kind of colors in Star Stable for like outfits and tack and everything or anything, whatever that you're into right now. I'd be like really curious to find out. Um, but I am feeling very well today, and I'm in a really good mood right now because I'm on here. So let's go. So again, I'm your host, Rat. Welcome to the Rat Files, where I dig up things that others try to bury. So before we get into it, I am going to put out a trigger warning that this case includes descriptions of graphic violence, sexual assault, abuse of a corpse, emotional trauma, family and affair relationship with the offender. So please listen with care. So let's get right into it. Oh, sources used. I got too excited. So sources used in today's episode include Lehi, County Court records, local reporting from the Morning Call, NBC News archives, People.com case summaries, and public statements released by the Northampton County District Attorney's Office. And all details have been carefully researched for accuracy and will be linked below. It will be linked in the description below of this video in case you want to check anything out. All right, so. Welcome to The Rat Files, the true crime podcast where the stories are grim, the host is a little unhinged, and cases will leave you side-eyeing everyone you know. I'm Rat, your host, and in today's case, oof, well, buckle up, because this one messed with my brain in about 5 different directions. It's kind of crazy. But we're talking about the horrifying premeditated murder of a woman named Jessica Padgett. And while this case should be more well known, I'm kind of surprised it hasn't been covered more widely. So today we're going deep into this case, like forensic files deep. More like, what be more appropriate if I said, like shed wall secret compartment deep? All right, so so let's start with who Jessica Padgett was. Jessica was a 33-year-old who was a mother, a wife, a daycare worker, and by all accounts, an incredibly kind human being. She lived in Northampton, Pennsylvania, which is a small town where people know their neighbors and there's probably a lot of church potlucks. She was a newlywed, she was newly married to a guy named Micah Padgett, and they'd been married for only a few months. But Jessica had two kids from a previous relationship. And people said she was thriving. Like she'd post photos for kids at the park on her social media, always smiling and always seeming positive. Jessica was born and raised in Pennsylvania. Her family described her as bright and sensitive, someone who always rooted for the underdog. And in high school, she played volleyball and was the kind of friend who stayed behind after games just to help clean up the bleachers. She loved kids, and working at the daycare wasn't just a job, but it was something she truly cared about. She was working hard, raising kids, and newly married, and her life was finally seeming starting to feel full again after some tough years she had in the past. She also had a strong work ethic. Working at a daycare requires the kind of patience and mental endurance most of us can only aspire to. She was dependable, nurturing, and one of those people who made others feel safe just by showing up. The sense of trust, it mattered, and it makes what happened to her that much more tragic. All right, so now let's talk about November 21st, 2014. So on this day, Jessica went to work like normal. Around lunchtime, she left to go run an errand. She told coworkers she was heading to the Dollar General to fax some documents. It was a typical Friday, and she didn't seem nervous. Nothing felt out of the ordinary. But she never came back. When she didn't return to work, and when she didn't come home on time, her family immediately knew something was wrong. Jessica was reliable. She wasn't the type to ghost her job or her family, especially not without letting someone know. They reported her missing that same day. The Northampton community responded quickly as flyers were posted, social media lit up with her photo. Local volunteers joined search efforts, and within 24 hours, her car was located. It was abandoned in a quiet area, far from where she was supposed to be. Her phone was off, her purse was missing, but the car wasn't damaged, and there were no immediate signs of a struggle. It was like she had simply vanished into midair. Now, when investigators start digging into Jessica's contacts and recent activities, one name kept coming up. Gregory Graff. So Gregory Graff was Jessica's former stepfather. He'd been married to Jessica's mother before she passed away in 2012. So this is 2 years after her mom died, and he wasn't just a family acquaintance. He once lived in the same house as her. They had history, and apparently Jessica had been stopping by his property lately to use a fax machine in his detached garage. All right, so it's clear that she didn't go to the Dollar General to use the fax machines for documents. Instead, supposedly, she went there, she said, to use the fax machine like at her old stepfather's house. And seems like maybe there's something going on, but like it's in this isolated garage. I don't know, seems kind of fishy. Um, So Graf lived alone after Jessica's mother passed. He stayed on the same property where they had once lived as a family. Over the years, he had slowly isolated himself, and neighbors described him as quite a bit reclusive. He kept to himself, didn't socialize much, and had converted a section of his backyard shed into what he called a video editing studio. But when investigators would later examine the space, they wouldn't find um, editing equipment. They'd find soundproofing, hidden compartments, and most of all, cameras. When police asked him if he'd seen Jessica that day, Ralph said yes. He claimed that she had come by around noon to fax something and then just left. That was it. Simple, clean. No red flags, right? Except investigators weren't convinced. They asked if they could take a look around his property, just to be thorough, and Graff agreed. And that's when they discovered the structure behind his home, a shed-like outbuilding that he noticed uh, that he'd converted into a video editing space. Inside, everything looked relatively normal, but then they noticed something off about one of the walls. Behind a false panel, concealed beneath boards and gravel, they found Jessica Padgett's body. So her body is just like found in like a compartment behind one of these walls in his basement. Um, she had been shot execution style in the back of the head. Her body had been hidden deliberately, discarded as if her life meant nothing. The callousness was chilling. The callousness was chilling. Um, the the forensic team moved in. The hidden space was meticulously constructed. The wall panel was reinforced with screws and insulation. Layers of gravel and old wood had been used to hide the body, a hasty burial, but not random. Graff had prepared the area in advance. Investigators immediately brought Graff into custody, but the horror didn't stop there. When they searched his computers and hard drives, they found something truly monstrous. A video, a recording he had made of the murder. Oh my God, this is crazy. So this wasn't a spontaneous act of violence. This was planned, scripted, and almost like it was and filmed. Gregory Graff had lured Jessica into his workspace with the promise of a quick errand, routine visit to fax some papers. He had set up cameras. He had a weapon. He knew what he was going to do. And then he filmed it. The video, which authorities later described but did not release publicly, showed Graff shooting Jessica from behind. And he proceeds to commit acts that are too horrific to detail here. Prosecutors would later confirm that the motive involved a sexually motivated fantasy. One Graff had likely been harboring for a long time. A fantasy that involved dominance, control, and the desecration of somebody he once called family. So he's basically like sick. In a chilling statement during interrogation, Graff admitted to the crime. He showed no visible remorse, and he said he had planned it. He said he had, in quotes, building for years. When this case went to trial, the community waited for some kind of reckoning, something that would reflect the horror that what happened to Jessica. Ralph was charged with first-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, several other felonies related to concealment of the body, possession, and of explicit materials. But here's the thing, he pled guilty. No trial, no testimony, no examination, just a flat, cold admission. Yes, I did it. Brass legal team struck a plea deal to avoid the death penalty, and the court sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. During sentencing, Jessica's family gave emotional victim impact statements. Her father, speaking through tears, described how his granddaughter asked him why her mommy couldn't come back from heaven. Husband Micah barely spoke, overwhelmed with grief. The judge didn't hold back. She told Graff that his actions were evil and evil in the purest form, calculated, predatory, and rooted in perversion. Um, but no sentence would undo the damage. No verdict could restore what was lost. Jessica Paget left behind children, a husband, a devastated community, people who will carry this grief forever. After the case concluded, many in the area pushed for more awareness around signs of predatory behavior, especially within families. Sorry. Graff had positioned himself as someone trustworthy, someone who had once been a stepfather, who was, oops, who still had access to his stepdaughter's life. But behind the uh, but behind that famili- familiarity, no, I can't say this word, but behind that familiarity, yeah, was a predator in waiting. Jessica's case is a heartbreaking reminder that evil doesn't always look like a stranger in the shadows. Sometimes it's someone you've known for years, someone you think you can trust. And that is it. So I'm gonna just take this moment and this video as a time to respect her family and friends and just to maybe ask you to just like think about her today as a tribute. So thank you so much for listening to this episode and the very first episode of Rat Files. And I will see you guys next time with another case, which is going to be very interesting. So hang tight, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.